Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including RWBY, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Hayley Nabuurs.
Hello.
And Andy Potter.
Hey.
Today, Hayley, Andy, and I are getting into Chapter 7 of Volume 5 of RWBY, Rest and Resolutions, that aired today, 2 days after Thanksgiving on Rooster Teeth first. And, we'll be up publicly whenever they do that. But, we talk RWBY every week here on the Overly Animated Podcast. Find us at overlyanimated.com or search for Overly Animated RWBY to subscribe and, or on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher to subscribe there, on YouTube to not miss any of our future RWBY podcasts weekly whenever RWBY is new, which so far has been every week, including Thanksgiving, which is surprising. But, Rest and Resolutions we'll be getting into today. Make sure you have seen this episode. Spoilers for this and all previous episodes of RWBY. Let's get right into things. Hayley, what are your thoughts on Rest and Resolutions?
I enjoyed it. I think it was kind of required, because I know that last week we were all really hoping that this episode would be all about Menagerie and the assassination plot. But I feel like story-wise, something like this had to happen at one point, where they all have this resolution and kind of relax with each other again and catch up, because it has been so long. So I think it was good from a character point of view and from a viewer point of view as well, to like readjust to this dynamic that we've been away from for quite a while. So that was nice. It was very sweet. I feel like, especially because it was only really around 10 minutes without the credits at the beginning and the end. I think that was an okay amount of time for this episode, because it didn't really drag too much, which was nice. And we got some great RWBY and Weiss interactions and Yang interactions. Yeah, it was great. I'm sure you're going to love that so much, Dylan. The white rose is prevalent.
It was like 5 seconds. This isn't a headline,
I know,
but yeah.
But it was good. It was good about it. So that was great. And we actually got some like plot confirmation, or I guess history confirmation, that Ozpin is the old guy with the maidens.
The wizard, yes.
The wizard. So that's pretty cool, that because I feel like it would be kind of silly if that wasn't the case, because it just makes sense within the plot lines and everything. But good to have confirmation. And Cinder's back and at it and out in the world. So I think it was a good like little connecting in between, and then we'll get into epic drama next episode.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. Good breather episode, says Hayley. Yeah, last week I said, definitely next week. Major Blake, Menagerie mid-season finale. Nope. Wrong.
Nothing.
I still think that's in play for next week, but we'll talk about that at the end. Yeah. Okay. Andy, thoughts on Rest and Resolutions?
This episode opened up and I thought I was going to hate it, because it literally starts with John, and it starts with John talking about stuff I just don't care about. Like, I don't care about John's interaction with everybody here. I care about literally everybody else more than him and their interactions with each other. But it redeemed itself like 5 seconds later when they started like just talking about how crap he is, and then we got away from him. He left the room and it got better. I enjoyed the little the white rose moment. There was also a little freezer burn moment.
Oh yeah.
When Yang stuck out her tongue at Weiss. That was pretty cute. It was a nice breather, but again, it suffers from like the RWBY problem of some of the dialogue just being kind of stilted, a little bit off. And I still don't get why we're supposed to be upset about the bird thing. I just don't get it.
Yeah, that's very confusing to me.
Like, it feels like the thing that makes the episode so weird that everyone's upset about it. It literally just seems like upside. Like, there's no downside here. They can turn into birds on command. If I could do that, I'd do it. Like, if I could just turn into a bird whenever I wanted and there was no downside, sure, I could do it. And, like, I like how, but I do like that Nora called it out and she's like, oh, because of their names. And it's like, yeah, Nora, it's that dumb. You figured it out. And then, yeah, I liked obviously that Emerald and Mercury are back. Overall, it's okay and not what I expected this week, but I'm not sure if that's in a good way. It just wasn't what I was expecting.
Okay. So decently positive reactions from you two. I like this episode. It's not great. It's fine, but that's like, probably I've said that phrase 1,000 times for the show, but, I think this is a good episode. I enjoyed the first 4 minutes a lot. That's what I'll say. And then the rest was blah. I really, really enjoyed Team RWBY plus 3/4 of whatever I don't even remember what their team name was.
Juniper.
Juniper? Okay, there you go. Yeah, rip. But it's
no P.
yeah, no P, yeah.
No P.
Team RWBY NJR. Yeah, I really enjoyed their fake their fake Thanksgiving dinner. That's what it was. It was great. And then we got an Ozpin segment, which was very boring and didn't add anything new to the conversation. And then
I honestly took that as comic relief, like just
just the whole concept of Ozpin.
That's
mean.
Problem,
that's mean.
It's so boring. It's funny. Is that what you're saying?
Giggling, yeah.
It was unnecessary. Is the second episode in a row where we got an info dump, which we learned basically is literal zero new, and that's a problem.
They have a big problem with info dumps where once some characters have seen something already and others haven't. Like, you don't need to show the same info dump again. You just don't need to do it.
Right. I've seen a lot of talk about this. Yeah, it's that 2 weeks in a row we know what's going on, and then we're just catching other people up, and that's not fun.
At least they didn't show us all of them telling Weiss and Yang that stuff like they did last episode. That's nice.
We kind of
we jumped in near the end of the talk.
Yeah. Well,
and then
in the beginning, yeah.
Spiel.
So the Ozpin, we saw that, and we kind of also kind of had an input up in the beginning because it's like, oh, let's recap on what happened last season to everyone.
But recapping a season's a little different than recapping the last episode.
Yeah. So it's it's just not a good narrative idea to just say the same information multiple times to your audience. Yes, I understand that these characters, certain numbers of these characters did not previously know that, but it wasn't, it's just not exciting to the audience. The Ozpin talk was the low point of the episode. It wasn't bad, but it was just very boring. And then we get to the end, and I was very hyped because Emerald's back, one of my favorite characters on the show. She hasn't been on the show in so long. Also, Mercury's back. People like him, whatever. And Cinder was out in the wild and talking, and Dr. Watts was there too. Screw him, he doesn't matter. But
does that need Tyrion's tails done?
That's the big question, right? What's the status of Tyrion's tail? Because we were promised that Dr. Watts would be fixing Tyrion's tail, and we're all on the edge of our seats waiting for what's going to happen with that.
Making trouble somewhere else.
Yeah, Andy, do you have Tyrion's tail speculation?
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be an amazing tail. It's going to shoot lasers, and it's going to show up. At the end of this season, like, the post-credit scene is going to be Tyrion waking up with his tail, like, really dumb, like, it's going to be amazing.
That would be, oh my god.
That's the kind of cheese that I'm okay with. If we're going to use Tyrion like that, I'm fine with it. It'll be amazing. I love it. I love that kind of stuff.
So you're saying the end credits is the same thing as Rick and Morty episode 1 from the season's end credits, where one of the characters waking up with new robot enhanced form? That's what it is?
Yeah, that would be perfect. Like, I'd be 100% fine with it. Even if it is just a reference, that I'm fine with that. That'd be great.
So we skipped the Tyrion's tail. But I actually really like the ending scene. It's there's nothing specific to talk about. It's just seeing Emerald and Mercury again was very exciting for me. That was like my main reaction to the episode was, I'm very, very pumped to see Emerald again. And, we gotta get the animation trio of Emeralds all happening at the same time. Not holding our breath for Steven Universe to get there, but, we have Mysticons and RWBY now with Emerald characters, and that's great. And, that was good. Yeah, so that's exciting. It was a good ending. It was a good beginning, and then the middle was meh. Overall, I was fine with this episode. If RWBY was just all scenes, like the dinner table scene, that 4 minutes, then I'd be much happier. So, that's what I'll say. Like, if it was just our characters talking and laughing, that would be a much better show. I don't know. I know not everyone agrees, but I want Slice of Life RWBY. So I was really digging the very brief scene we had in the shortest episode ever. That's all we get of Slice of Life RWBY. That's all we've earned, I think. We don't deserve anything more.
Though? I don't know.
I think it's what we deserve, to be honest. We've been too critical. This is our punishment. We get exactly what we want, but only 2 minutes of it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, okay. First thing I want to talk about is this what I've been talking about? This dinner table scene. This is the highlight of the episode to me. Do we agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
For sure.
just our characters talking. It's something that we've literally not seen on the show since the beginning of Volume 3, I think. Just people talking.
Yeah, easily.
Like, probably not since that, like, it was a similar scene where they're eating ramen, right? In the ramen stall in the beginning of Volume 3. I feel like that might be the last time we've seen just people sitting and talking. I mean, we've seen people, but just not our some of our main characters. Minus Blake, of course. She apparently doesn't get to, she doesn't get to have fun, right?
Poor Blake.
But yeah, again, but that's true though. Again, we're eating ramen here. I just thought of that. And, yeah, there's a few highlights. What we do is we catch everyone up on what happened during Volume 4. Then we have an arm wrestling, that we saw there's heavily elements of speculation because this is the screen cap on their website a few days ago. And then we have a segment about nickname throwbacks. And then Ren makes a speech. So there you go.
What a time. Also, their ramen animation skills have improved greatly. That ramen looked amazing. Oh, so
you're digging the ramen. Okay.
I was totally digging it.
Yeah,
I was very happy when I saw that. I was eating lunch when I saw that. I was like, oh, that looks great.
That's good, yeah. Yeah, to me, so if I'm gonna have a criticism of the scene, it's too much, and wow, I know you guys are saying, Dylan, what a surprise about what you're about to say. Too much, no, not too much slice of life, not enough slice of life. Good. Too much John and Ren. That's my criticism of this scene.
Well, the Ren one is understandable because his speech is kind of out, like, it just, it kind of put a damper on the entire conversation, and it's like, I don't want this, Ren. I just want everyone to be happy and laughing, and you're doing not that.
There's one.
It was pretty dramatic. Yeah. Out of nowhere.
And they're like, oh, Ren's serious when he actually talks. Okay, yeah, whatever. It was. I didn't like the ending Ren thing. Whatever. We just had to tie it back and have like a serious moment during the having fun. We did do one really fun thing with Ren, which Ren not understanding what RWBY meant with out of control, and then RWBY says, out of control as in awesome. And I thought that was a great line read.
That was sweet.
That was a great line read from RWBY. And then Ren's like, oh, cool, yeah. So I like that exchange. That was a good Ren. But here's my two highlights. They've already been mentioned, so you guys already took away the highlights of the conversation. But there's two highlights. Number one, I'm not gonna say, I'm gonna hold off on Right Rose for 5 seconds, but number one is our freezer burn scene. Once again, our Yang and Weiss scene where Andy talked about it. We're talking about Ice being Weiss Queen, lol. We're talking about, Weiss being Ice Queen, and Ice and Weiss, oh my god. Just stop it. Just stop it. I can't with this. Okay. So, Ice was like smiling and, Weiss says, you make it sound like it used to be terrible. And Yang says, Yang flirtily says, nah, just, a lot to deal with at once. And Weiss says, and Yang goes, nah. So there's your audio recap of
they bonded. How sweet in this adventure.
And then Weiss is like for a long distance shot. Weiss is like smiling back at her. Were you feeling the freezer burn in the scene, Hayley?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, sure. No, you got to be more definitive here.
No, I really like them interacting more, and it was really sweet. And also that it's nice to see that relationship isn't just going to get swept under the rug.
Yes.
Right? So now we're back, and it's like, oh, okay, they do actually have this connection, and it's being shown, which is really nice. And very, very sweet. And also, I was very happy with Weiss in this scene, too, because you could definitely see that character development that we've talked about, where she really is more relaxed and friendlier with everyone. Which was good, especially because like Nora and everyone else is picking up on that as well, which is fun. She did change since the time, as Ren's talk says.
This scene is really fulfilling. Talking about the really satisfying. Talking about Weiss being Ice Queen and and like her just being like happy about it. It's just a really great payoff. Like we're really substantiating the Weiss character development that we had the previous 2 volumes. Literally the best thing about the show the past 2 seasons, volumes 3
and it shows
4.
that the showrunner and the creators are actually aware of that as well. That they spent time to talk about it. That it's not just like, it just happened. Like it seems to me more like a slightly more intentional character development.
Yes. They executed. We spent time. They executed on the Weiss development. Now we're seeing the payoff.
Exactly. And now we're settling into it as her character is now and interacting with everyone, and it's awesome.
No, seriously, this is by far the best thing Miles and Carrie have done on the show is the Weiss development. I think it's just been a huge home run success. Like, unqualified success here, and seeing Weiss just being all smiley and it's like, oh, I missed all you guys. It's so great. Like I said last podcast, super dere Weiss. Like, she's just, all the soon is gone. She's just so smiley and happy. And, yeah, I guess she was not smiley. Actually, okay, here's I can't go like more than 5 seconds without shoehorning in the White Rose, but the only time Weiss was not smiling was to RWBY, which I think is inversely actually signs that she's being affectionate towards RWBY.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think? There's too shippery or true, Andy?
I'm sorry, Dylan. You're like scraping the bottom of the barrel here for White Rose things. This is like. You could have just mentioned like the half hug they had where she didn't like push RWBY off right away. Like that was a White Rose moment.
It's look. Here's look, Andy. Here's my big criticism of the episode is I did not get the White Rose reunion that I wanted. And
I know.
Look, I'll take what I can get, and them talking about skirts or whatever, it's fine.
And sharing frame for a while too. That's nice.
Yes, that was.
Wow.
Look, don't believe me. This is the screen cap that you guys are seeing on YouTube right now. It's the two of them.
Last week it was Freezer Burn.
Yeah.
This week it's White Rose.
Yeah. It's like, let me talk. Okay, let me talk about the White Rose for a second. So we get this scene, and it's they're on one side of the arm wrestling contest, and RWBY says, "Come on, sis, you can't lose to a girl in a skirt." And Weiss says, "You wear a skirt, RWBY." And RWBY's like, "Weiss, you're not cheering loud enough," and like, yeah, whatever, like half hugging her. So. Look, this is great. I'll take it. I was into it. This is like the best part of the episode for me. But this is a really terrible RWBY and Weiss scene. This is your RWBY Weiss scene because the most famous RWBY Weiss scene in the history of the show is the battle. I actually forget the combat skirt battle.
Yeah, combat skirt
Scene in Volume 1, I think.
Yeah.
At the end of Volume 1, and. You have a scene that kind of tangentially references it, but it doesn't seem to be aware of that scene at all. Like, this is what White Rose is known for, is the combat skirt scene. And that's what they bonded over, and yet RWBY has Weiss right next door and is not recognizing that. So it was very, not the opposite of the Weiss character development being cathartic. This is very bad from a White Rose shipper perspective, having them just, I don't know, like, do you agree, Andy, that they just seemed not aware of that reference during the scene?
I think that, yeah, they tend to do this with jokes sometimes, that when they make a joke, they tend to ignore the rest of the show for this one joke every single time. It comes up, and so instead of incorporating other elements to the show into what they're writing is, they just write about what they're writing about right then. They do what's necessary for the scene right then. And that can be good sometimes, but this is a show with a lot of really great characters, and they've had a lot of really great moments. And I think they could have incorporated the combat skirt thing, like you said. And it definitely was in the back of my mind when this was brought up. Like, didn't we do this before and it was already a moment between them? It seemed like an obvious thing to miss.
Yeah, I was not happy with the scene because we missed that, and then also RWBY saying something that's like anti-feminist, and it's like, I mean, she's just being whatever, but it's like, yeah, RWBY, like, clearly you wear a skirt, why are you an idiot? And Weiss also has a skirt, and why are you not talking to Weiss? Because you guys are in love, and there you go. That's
Let's be honest, Dylan, you just want a scene of them, like, in a garden on a bench having an emotional chat by themselves.
They don't get any one-on-one. Like, it's so sad.
That's your dream.
It's so sad. Anyway.
It's probably not going to happen, at least for a couple seasons.
Yeah,
but
look, so I was unsatisfied as the shipper, but also objectively, I think this was not a great interaction. But I will take it, and it was great. So just because they were talking, literally, you could have had just nonsensical words stitched together of them saying words to each other, and it would have been good. So I would have been them mumbling to each other. It would have been fine. I would have been happy. So
mumbling in the background, that's like quality ship material. If they're just mumbling to each other,
it would have been better. Yeah, it probably would have been better.
I think I'm less upset about this than you, Dylan, because I think I've realized after this episode, I'm like 100% on board with the freezer burn ship. Like, I'm 100% on board with that. Like, I used to be like Bumblebee or nothing, but no, it's freezer burn or nothing now. They're perfect for each other.
I'm also leaning towards freezer burn now.
Wow.
I was never a passionate White Rose shipper, but now seeing this dynamic, I'm all for it.
You guys abandoned ships
But
so
I also
fast.
like,
oh my goodness.
But then I also like Bumblebee so much too. So really, anyone with Yang, I'm all for.
I will accept the opinion of I'll take any two members of Team RWBY ship together. I will accept that. I will not accept this abandonment of core ships. You guys are terrible shippers.
No, we're fluid shippers.
No, that's the same thing. You just said the same thing in a different way.
Exactly.
You guys are just.
What about Dylan? What about a Bumblebee Freezer Bird love triangle? What about
that's fine. I'll accept. I said this. I think I said this in chat earlier in our Discord. I want this Bumblebee reunion, and then Weiss looks on just really jealous. That's going to be incredible.
RWBY slides in to comfort her.
But look, I'm all about. The freezer burn was great. It was again they incorporated it consistently again into this episode, and it's really it's really heartening. I don't know if that's actually a word, the opposite of disheartening, to see that they are continuing this plot thread of the two of them together, and it's just been the highlight of the season. That being said, I have not read like 50 hours of White Rose fanfics to just have freezer burn here. I'm just telling you now. That's not what this has been about.
So fast.
We are. It's going to be season 9, and Weiss and Yang are going to be married. And I'm going to still be talking about White Rose on this podcast. So just letting you know that. Okay. Other parts of this dinner was like I said, we're catching up on Volume 4. We talked about John losing the map, which was something I forgot happened because I blocked it out of my head.
Well, it was a horrible moment, and that's why.
Okay, yeah, I had no memory of this, and then I'm like, oh yeah, John was an idiot last season. We talked about Team Ranger fighting the Giant Grim. I think this was predicted by one of you two last podcast.
No. They weren't talking about the one with Expando arms. They were talking about the one at the very beginning of the season.
Are you serious?
They were talking about the one. Yes.
What?
They were talking about the one where Ren went crazy on the giant one.
Oh, like the one where they do the RWBY Nora lightning strike attack.
Yeah, I think they were talking about that one because I think Ren went crazy in that one. Ren in the Expando arm one did almost nothing.
I don't know. We'll have to fact check that, but I don't think it's clear either way. But
they fought a lot of Giant Grim.
Yeah. We talked about this though, that you should. We fought this Giant Grim with Expando arms, and they say that's Weiss and Yang. Yeah.
Maybe share that information with your friends.
Yeah, so that's what they did here. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then we had that out of control.
But they didn't even mention the Expando arms. I'm disappointed.
That's literally the best part of last season was the Expando arms. Why did we not talk about that?
Or the fact that this thing destroyed Ren's life and family and love and everything.
Right, yeah.
No one's going to mention that.
The only two things I remember from last season are 1, Expando arms, and 2, little Ren and little Nora. So why didn't we talk, catch them up? It's then we had a flashback to when we were younger. Why didn't we talk about that?
It was really trippy, bro.
Yeah.
You forgot about the third thing, Dylan. They ran in circles. You forgot about the third thing.
They ran in circles to defeat the thing? Is that what happened? Oh.
Yeah, that was John's amazing plan. They ran in circles around the Expando arm guy.
Oh, no, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I have
no memory. We podcasted on this whole season. Just to let you know, I have no memory. We had talked about Weiss at her party, and I guess we were referencing her summoning, because I also don't remember Weiss at the party. I remember there, yeah.
Oh, yeah, she got really mad at a party goer for, disrespect.
Yeah. I like that. That was a fun scene.
Yeah, so she we referenced that, and then we showed off Yang's new robo arm, and RWBY was into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I loved that interaction, but I also was like, why was that not the first topic of conversation?
They act like they didn't see it.
Yeah,
right? They're like, oh, cool, you have a yellow arm, and you didn't have an arm last time we saw you? Maybe.
Yeah. I think the bigger thing was she was eating chopsticks with it.
Yeah.
She was using. You guys didn't notice she had a right arm?
Yeah, we got to talk about John losing the map. That is the priority of our conversation.
Yeah, that's true. RWBY, you hugged Yang with her metallic arm. Why did you not recognize this until now?
And it makes sense, because then it leads into the arm wrestling and da-da-da-da. Yeah. So I think it was a really...
They had to sequence it like that, but yeah, you're right.
The sequence was a little weird, but it was a great scene when it happened.
Yeah. So, okay. So that was catching up on Volume 4. We had Yang...
But you didn't... Wait, Dylan.
What didn't I talk about?
Through her arm.
Okay, well, that's what I'm talking about now. Yang versus Nora arm wrestling. Yeah, so that's the next thing. I'm breaking down the dinner into multiple parts here because I'm trying to avoid talking about the Ozpin scene as long as possible.
You're trying to squeeze all the good parts out of this episode.
Oh, believe me, yeah, we're But you guys are looking at the runtime right now and you're listening and you're like, how did they get that much discussion out of this 10-minute episode? Oh, well, you're about to find out, so we'll find out too.
White Rose.
So, I talked about White Rose for 10 minutes. That's what we talked about. But, RWBY and, Weiss. Okay, I already talked about that. So, we talked about the White Rose. That's my entire outline. That's my entire outline for the Yang. I'm looking at my outline and that was the entire part of the Yang and her arm wrestling, but they arm wrestle and then Yang detaches her arm to win. That was weird. That was hilarious. Okay.
I don't know why.
I thought it was funny, but I think that if they're competent, this could be a moment where they're like setting something up for the finale. Like this could be something that could be used interestingly in a story way that she can detach this arm.
Yeah, I agree. This is 100% setting up for her detaching her arm in the finale. I agree.
Yeah. It like punches Salem or Cinder, all of a sudden flies off.
Oh, we're not fighting Salem.
No. I think something happens. Might be her arm gets like stuck somewhere and she has to detach it or something, or something in that way.
I also like
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the line. I think Ren said it where he's like, "Does that mean Nora wins technically?"
Yeah.
Like after she lost her.
Yeah. It's all like this entire arm wrestling shenanigans was incredibly pointless. Yep, I agree.
Well, it might not be. You never know.
Well, the detaching will come back into play.
We'll find out.
Yeah. That was fun. And then we have Ren's speech about being embarrassed about. Yes, Andy.
She needs to rocket punch Adam.
Okay.
Yes.
That was not worth interrupting me. Come on. That was it was not worth it.
I just like
she needs to rocket punch Adam. Okay, you were just excited about the mental image in your head about Adam being rocket punched. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's not happening. Come on.
No, but just think about it, Dylan. She like detaches her arm and it goes across a room and it punches him in the face. Like that's a really happy image in my head.
Okay, look, I'm fine to think about punching Adam, but that's not happening. Okay. Ren's speech is.
But it could.
Look, it's RWBY. That's what I'll say.
That's
the only thing in your favor here is that it's RWBY. But other than that, but yeah, okay. Ren's speech was talking about being embarrassed about things at Beacon. I don't know why we needed to do this, but
This speech was so weird to me.
Yeah,
because it was all like really positive and everything, and then it just got like really dramatic all of a sudden. Quiet.
Yeah.
Yang
says, I was too gung-ho, and RWBY says, you think you were gung-ho? I tried to 1v1 and Nevermore on the second day of school.
Oh my god. This was so great.
That was a good line.
This was actually like the best way to write it. Like 1v1 and Nevermore.
That's probably RWBY's best line of dialogue in multiple seasons, because she just really hasn't said anything good. And this was actually it was actually a really good line of dialogue, only because it was like a very video gamey line to say, so her strategic sells with this. And she says 1v1 aloud. I'll take it. I'll accept it. It was funny. And we're also referencing the best thing the show's ever done. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not the same person, you'll still grow, and Ren gets real deep when when he chooses to talk, and something about Nora at the dance, which I didn't really remember. But yeah, I
think that might have been an off-screen thing that they just mentioned.
I wouldn't know. So
all I remember from the dance is that John wore a dress and they had a weird dance number. That's all I remember.
The big memory from the dance episode
is the pinnacle of entertainment. Like that was so ridiculous.
Cinder jumping in the rooftops. That's the main thing from the dance.
Yeah,
is, the terrible animation of Cinder jumping on the rooftops. Yeah, that's still always brought up in just post the gif of Cinder incredibly clumsily. Anyway. So that was Ren's speech, and I have no takeaways from that. Any comments?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on. Okay, so that was so yeah.
Good job, Ren.
In summary, for the dinner, I want Slice of Life RWBY, and before you tell me that RWBY Chibi exists, I don't want to watch that. So other than that,
RWBY Chibi isn't Slice of Life.
It's just like little joke scenes, right? Like it's not.
Yeah, no, it's a comedy parody show. Yeah. It's not a Slice of Life show. A Slice of Life show has you show their lives. We're not seeing their lives in RWBY Chibi.
Yeah. Rather than having multiple scenes of us, Ozpin and other characters tell us the same things over and over, why don't we just show the characters we care about talking to each other? Like, let's do more of that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I'm not holding my breath for next episode, though.
No.
Or we could just have, like, jump cut, like, after the talk with Ozpin of RWBY, Weiss, and Yang talking in, like, one of their rooms or something about their talk with Ozpin. That would have been better because it probably wouldn't have retread and we could have just heard their opinions instead.
Okay, let's talk about the Ozpin scene. Here's my headline, is that we do quote unquote learn 2 new things. But
Learn.
but that's not the headline. The headline, I think, is that Ozpin absolved. We're trusting Ozpin again. He's been freed. His name has been cleared. Raven's accusations had no merit, and Ozpin's just a saint, right, Andy?
Usually I just say yes, but the way they keep hammering this in is just like Ozpin did something bad. But the thing is but I'm not sure because they keep trying to tell us the crow thing is bad, but I don't think that's bad, and that's the whole problem here. If they chose something else other than this crow thing, like, again, you cursed all these women to have these horrible magic powers that are, like, tied to death. Like, maybe that could be a more horrible thing. But instead we're talking about crows and stuff, and I just don't feel it. But I still think that we could frame him as bad at some point during this season or next season.
Yeah. So, yeah, my take is I agree with you that we are 100% building up to a big reveal of something Ozpin did that was much worse. They seem to not be aware that the crow thing wasn't bad at all, but yeah, I think we ended this episode at a point where, everyone trusts Ozpin, Yang's fine with Ozpin. Okay, now, Ozpin has some huge skeleton in his closet, so that's going to be uncovered later in the season. Yeah. Yes, Andy?
Yeah, I think so. I hope it's not something like the Crow and Raven thing because I want it to be something
actually substantial. Yeah. Are you feeling warm and fuzzy about Ozpin now, Hayley? After this episode, he's absolved, good guy, inside a little boy's body.
Oh my god! Don't say it like that. No.
What do you mean? Don't say it like that? That's literally what the show is doing.
Creepy. No.
What do you wait? Hold on. What do you mean? Don't say it like that? That's literally what's on our screen.
I know it is. But,
this is like Hayley's kitchen thing last week.
Oh no. I don't know. I don't trust him. Let's be real. Like, I feel like he probably has, like, the quote-unquote best interests of the world at heart, but he's, like, this omnipresent, almost god, so he probably doesn't really care about specific people all that much, you know? So, I don't know. But and I also don't believe that he's not going to tell them all the truths that he knows, probably, because that would be like, we've been doing all this stuff about, he's bad, and it's like, no, he's going to tell us everything now. Like, no, they're not going to do that. I am still mystified by why everyone is so concerned about them turning into birds, because, like Andy was saying, I see no problems with this, and I was assuming with Ozpin getting into his talk more, like explaining how it happened, I thought that he was going to say, I just did it to them, like I didn't get their consent, and then it just happened. Because that would be like still cool skill to have, but he should have at least talked to them. That's what I thought they were going to talk about. But no, they were all on board and agreed, and then Raven was like, yeah, peace, I'm going to live my life, and she now can turn into a bird still. Like, that's cool. So I do not get it. And I don't get why everyone is so shocked, because I feel like I tried stepping back and thinking, like, if I was just chatting with people and they're like, yeah, I can turn into a bird in, like, real life, that would be weird. That would throw me off. But I also didn't just summon, like, a giant ghost warthog at dinner. So, like,
yeah, that's a good line.
The metric for magic is kind of different between our lives and their lives. So I don't get why everyone is so... like, freaking out about this. Because if someone at the school was just like, hey, my semblance is that I can turn into a squirrel or a peacock or whatever, like, that'd be like, oh, cool, awesome semblance, and go on your merry way. But I do not get why we're talking about this so much. I just don't get it. And that's why I was laughing during that scene, because I was just, like, at a point where I'm like, we've talked about this for 2 episodes, and it has zero negatives to this, and I don't know why everyone's so upset about it.
Yeah.
So
that's my rant.
I think I finally figured out why this is supposed to be bad. Because faunas in the world are a thing, and they're part animal. And so maybe this has to do with, like, turning into an animal is kind of like being turned into a faunus to some people, I guess. And that could be
why
would
Yang be upset? Like, her best bud and possible love interest is a faunus.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're upset about it. I'm just saying it's a strange... Like, animals don't really come up this way except with the faunuses, this is kind of like a theory. I think this might be leading up to Ozpin made the faunuses. Like, he caused this whole thing and caused all the bad stuff that's happening right now by creating the faunuses somehow.
It could be because he did say that, like, oh, that was just a small amount of magic to what I can do. And I was just thinking, I don't know, this could just be me not remembering anything. But are there animals in this world? Have we seen animals? Because maybe that's why they're so freaking out. Sway? Yeah, no, there's dogs. Yeah. Okay, never mind. Because then that would be trippy if you're just like, have never seen
guys,
a bird before.
I made animals, yeah.
yeah. So cool.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. So Andy's espousing the Ozpin made the White Walkers theory, where he's the one who made fauna.
Is this a real theory? Is this a theory that someone's made?
No,
before?
It's like in Game of Thrones. Though it's like,
no, I know what you're referencing, Dylan. I'm saying, like, I was wondering if you've heard this before.
No, I have not heard this before. So I'm just.
I could see the.
Andy has you've said it for the first, espoused for the first time. There you go. Andy wants the first time credit.
No, I don't want the first time credit. I'm just honestly curious.
I have not heard this. That Ozpin created the faunuses. That seems like something that would not have any relevance to anything, but it does fit. It does fit with the only fraction of a magic thing that was said this episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big a deal, but it could be the big bad thing that he's done. Like, it could be the big, like,
not even again though. It's not a bad thing, just creating.
But we have spent 2 episodes about the bad thing.
These characters think it's a bad thing for some reason.
I guess so. And Hayley was talking about the fact that they have magic in it. Once again, we have Weiss in this episode saying, "Magic's real? What?
Oh my god!
What?
Weiss.
Weiss didn't even have dust on her when she did that. She just did that with her mind. Like that.
So I guess magic's real. What?
Shocker!
I just want someone to sit Weiss down and be like, Weiss, things are weird in this world. Yeah. I don't know how you don't understand this yet.
You look, even when you didn't have like a good grasp on your semblance, you used a sword to make glyphs on the ground and fly into the air. Like that.
Yes, we understand that magic is relative to what we see as fact, and their fact is different. Yes, and some people seem able to accept that their magic is different than our magic, so they would have a different concept. We, however, have trouble understanding this because our frame of reference is our world, and this seems very out there when we have zero explanation for semblances and stuff.
Why is turning into a bird so
okay,
bad?
Let's talk.
Also,
okay. Thank you.
Was not that creative when he just turned them into the creatures they're named after.
Yes. As Nora references, but okay, let's talk about the bird thing. So the bird thing was supposed to be bad, and we don't understand why, because giving someone the option to turn into a bird seems fine. They don't have to,
and they did it.
And that's a failure of last episode, though. This episode takes us away from that because we are supposed to end up this episode thinking, oh, okay, Ozpin's not that bad. Because one of the two things, as referenced, 2 new pieces of information, one is which Crow and Raven elected to gain this bird transforming power. So this takes off, in theory, for whatever reason we were supposed to think that was a bad thing before. Now it's fine because they elected to do it. So Yang's happy about that now. I don't know if she's happy, but she's not hating Ozpin. She's like, yeah, whatever, just stop lying. And Ozpin's like, yeah, sure, Yang, I'll stop lying.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, we'll believe you, Ozpin. So, so they elected to turn into birds, so it's fine. Everything's fine now. It's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
End of story.
Yeah, it's stupid that they thought this was a bad thing. We don't have no reason to think it was a bad thing. It was invasive if he forced it on them, as Andy was referencing, but we resolved that. Okay. Number 2 thing we learn is that, Ozpin is the wizard from the Maiden's Legend. And the reason I said that we don't really learn anything new here is because this has been implied since that we learned that Ozpin was an eternal reincarnating force of good in the world. So, he's the wizard.
Kind of a natural connection.
You actually hadn't said this on the podcast. I think that's a big failure on my part. Someone commented it on last week's podcast, like, oh, Ozpin's the wizard right now. I'm like, oh yeah, the good call. We didn't really talk about that. Mostly because I just don't think about them. I try not to think about the maidens most of the time.
I think you mentioned it last season. In your defense, you
right. So I think the first episode where the maidens were introduced was that season 3 or 4. I don't even remember. But
no idea.
3, because that was the fight with Cinder and.
I'm not gonna. I wouldn't put money on this, but I think in that episode I theorized that Ozpin was probably the wizard in the Volume 3 podcast.
I think you 100% did.
Yeah,
because there was a world of Remnant that had the old man, and he looked pretty a lot like Ozpin.
So it's not just so like once we learned that he was reincarnated, it's we've been assuming this for like since the concept of maidens has been introduced, and it was more of a theory before, and now that Ozpin reincarnates, it's like okay, sure, and it was kind of always in the back of our minds. But it is nice to see it confirmed here, and I think doing it in this way, it wasn't this huge reveal; it was just kind of nonchalantly mentioned, was the right way to handle it, considering it had been implied for a while. Yeah,
Agreed.
Okay, so that's good. Two new pieces of information, and then we end it with Nora saying, "Oh, Raven, Crow, they're birds. Cracked it."
Thank you, Nora, for pointing out the ridiculousness of all of this.
So, okay, here's my reactions. One, Nora's the right character to have do this because, she's just like infinite audience sympathy, and she's funny, and she good character, good. That being said, once again, this, and there's another line with Ozpin being like, "I gave them the power to turn into birds." Sounds ridiculous now, doesn't it? Saying it out loud. It's like, yeah,
no, it doesn't. No, it does not, Ozpin.
It makes sense. Like, somehow in this world it makes sense.
No, that wasn't my reaction. My reaction was, yeah, you guys chose to introduce this concept into your thing. Don't write lines like that. So this is, again, I say this every podcast, which is like, stop making fun of your own mythology. It's not successful. You're the people that did it. It's your choice to put it in the first place, and now you're making fun of it. So I think that Ozpin line was unsuccessful in that regard, but the Nora line was successful, not because of them making fun of themselves, but just because Nora's such a sympathetic and funny character. So it was a good line. So I think this was the right way to incorporate that.
I also think that Nora's joke about it is actually okay, even outside that context. Like, I think it's fine in terms of making fun of your mythology, because in a show where someone's name is Crow and he turns into a crow, like, that's fine. Like, it's kind of funny, kind of lampshaded. That's okay. I was not against this line from that perspective. I think this should have been okay in another show.
It's not as bad as the other one, yeah. It's more just like, oh, Nora's just slow, kind of, or like that's kind of the joke.
That was really mean.
I want to know if the names were before or after the transformation.
Oh, before. Ozpin is just uncreative and
yeah, very uncreative. Yeah.
It's like, oh, Raven's mom had Crow and Raven's mom had a bird naming scheme. Oh, I guess I'll copy that. Yeah.
She really loved birds.
Yeah. And they were twins.
Yeah, they were twins, so we give them a cute twins name. Oh yeah,
no.
That to be honest, that's probably why Raven is evil, is because her mom just branded them for life with matching names as her twin. What a terrible thing to do.
In her defense, the mom probably was like, here's the name if it's a boy, here's the name if it's a girl, and there's a boy and a girl. Like, I have two names. I'm good to go.
I really like birds, so I'm gonna have like this one bird name and then this other bird name. Yeah.
Oh, I could use both of them.
So I think it's Raven and Crow's parents' fault that everything is wrong with the world. That's my new theory.
Now I want to meet them.
I kind of do. Yeah, I hadn't put one thought into their parents before, but now, yeah, I kind of do want to meet them now. Okay, I guess they were bandit tribe leaders. I don't know when the tribe started, so. But yeah, anyway, last thing. Okay, Cinder, and team at camp. Cinder, Emerald, Mercury. This is the first time we've seen Emerald and Mercury since blank. When? I don't know. Volume 4?
I don't even know. Yeah.
Volume 3? Were they in Volume 4? Yeah, they were. They were in the background of Cinder scenes, and they said like one thing in Volume 4.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah.
This is the first time we saw them this season. Last season they were barely in it, and then Volume 3, the best episode of that and potentially the show is the flashbacks Emerald and Mercury episode, and we saw a lot of them there. But I was very hyped to see Emerald. Emerald's one of my favorites. A lot of people also like Mercury, so I think this was good. I was very excited.
Yeah. Good to have actual action, like plot momentum and drive with the villains.
Yeah.
Rather than just scheming all the time.
Yeah, and Cinder's out and about, and she's doing stuff, and she seems recovered.
Yeah, she seems a lot better now. She was speaking in full sentences. She wasn't raspy.
Let's not go that far. They didn't really say that much in the scene, but yeah.
She said she didn't like pause and stuff. Like she
seems fine. But full sentences is a stretch for RWBY. Anyway.
Okay, that's fair, Dylan. That's fair.
Yeah. Here's my commentary on this putting this in this spot. I didn't anticipate seeing them at the bandit camp so soon, and I think this is a great move because we're not kind of twiddling our thumbs with the villain stuff. They'd been off screen for a while, and we'd all been like, "Oh, when's Tyrion gonna get his tail? When's Cinder gonna get the band back together?" But we're just skipping a bunch of that. We're just seeing them in action, and it's not action. Yeah. They're just standing there talking to the idiot from the idiot who was hitting on 17-year-old Yang in the bar, just the pervert. So we don't really, it's like, I don't need to see him talk again.
Now Emerald will beat him up, though.
Yeah,
so it's
Emerald's going to punch him up.
Yeah.
So that'll be good.
The whole gun twirl thing, moving to walk up to him, I was just like, yes, do it, Emerald, do it.
Yeah. It was, why did we cut away? Let's see that. But yeah.
I know, I wanted her to just hit him in the, I wanted her to shoot him once and that was it. And then it fade to black. It just goes black. I'd be fine if she killed him and it just went to black. That would have been fine. Emerald.
It'd have been fine.
Just do it.
Yeah. And so to be fair, there's nothing actually happening at the end of the scene. So it's not like we actually get to the action, but, potentially we're setting up for that. So, I'm optimistic now that, Team Cinder's back in play. Things could be good, and I'm kind of curious whether we'd all been assuming that the action would coalesce at the bandit camp. It's like, oh, why did Weiss and Yang leave? They're just coming back. I wonder if they will even come back now, because if Cinder got there first, if Team Cinder just trashes the place, maybe Raven portals out of there and escapes right back to Crow, potentially with Vernal, while the rest of the camp is torn apart by them. So I think it is possible this is the last time we will see the bandit camp, and this is not how I saw the season going before this. Yeah.
No, I'm not upset, though, if Cinder and Crew are, in battle, so that's good. But yeah, I was totally expecting us all to meet up at the camp. But it makes sense, because if Raven can portal, then why not use that skill in this way? It works out.
Yeah. What do you think, Andy, about Raven portaling to Crow now?
I think that would be. I think that's fairly likely because we need some kind of combat with Raven and Vernal. We need to see them in a fight, and this is a good way to show what the stakes are, what's going to happen here, and then after that we get an actual fight for RWBY, which she hasn't really gotten this season, with the bad guys somewhere else besides the camp, and I think that's where we're leading. We're leading not to. I don't think we're going to get Haven. I don't think we're going to get the big fight with Adam this season. I think the big final fight, the big finale of the season is going to be a fight with Cinder in some way involving Team RWBY, and I'm really excited for that.
It's like it's not, so yeah, you're saying it's not going to be the fight for Haven, the fight of the fall of Haven. It's going to be the fight for Vernal, for the fight for control of Vernal. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally see that happening.
It's going to be a fight where Vernal, or maybe even Raven dies or something, but Vernal's in trouble and they need to help her, and she's running and they have to hold them off as long as possible for Vernal to get away. They might not even have Vernal in the group at the end of the season, but Vernal will get away.
Yeah, I think possible. I do think we need to consider that there are 7 episodes left this season, so there's a lot of time.
There are, but we still have Menagerie episodes left to include.
Right. If things go the way I think, we might be done with Menagerie in 1 episode, but we also could extend that out for a while now. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of next episode, I'm going to once again espouse the big Menagerie climax, push it back 1. I think that'll happen next week. Other possibilities? There's not necessarily a ton because everyone is kind of in the same place now. So we could see Cinder, versus Raven at the bandit camp. That could be something we see.
I want that so bad.
Other than that, the only thing would be seeing, expanded team Ranger, RWBY, Weiss, Yang, plus Crow, plus Oscar doing whatever they're doing. I think there's really only 3 options, right? It's whatever we're doing with after the dinner, which Ozpin said, enjoy tonight. So, seemingly nothing. I don't think we're gonna have another slice of life episode, unfortunately. I would like to see how Weiss and Yang enjoy the night. Anyway, but we also could see at the bandit camp. No one heard that. And then we also could see at Menagerie with Blake, right? So there's really nothing else because we did the villain check-in. We saw we thought that was gonna be happening, but we resolved that. We're not gonna go back there. We don't need to see Salem again. So I think it's a Blake episode. Definitely think it's a Blake episode next week.
Yeah, I think it's.
Agree.
Yeah, go ahead, Andy.
No, you go.
Okay. I am guessing that my first choice is that it's a whole Menagerie episode, and now that we've had this rekindling with the crew, I think I could totally see it happening where we like jump cut at the end and Blake shows up at the house and then we go from there. Like you were thinking last week, Dylan. Or I think we're going to have a menagerie episode with a little bit of villain fighting. Or we're going to have villain fighting and a little bit of RWBY team Juniper training again. I really hope it's just the menagerie stuff because I think I really want to see the Cinder things, but I want them to give enough time to the menagerie to actually do it well. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I feel like Blake is going to show up in one way or another because, like you said, there's nothing else to do, really. Like, that's the pretty pressing thing at the moment.
Yeah. And one of the main objections, potentially from you, Hayley, I remember, of last week to us going right to the Blake stuff and then Blake cutting in present was that we wouldn't see the continuation of the team RWY reunion, but we saw that this week. We got the entire scene of them at the dinner, so we saw they're back reintegrated. RWBY, Weiss, Yang are together. We got that. That's stable. So now we can just have, and if you missed last week, the short version, Blake's timeline is a month before the rest of them, so we could see the resolution of Menagerie. Blake sails away after Menagerie falls to the bad elements of the White Fang, and then Blake just shows up at the end of the episode at their house in Haven, and because it's a month behind. And I think that is very much back in play because, what else are we doing in that storyline? That storyline is pretty stable as we leave it. We're happy with Ozpin. Ozpin just says, we're going to do something, but he doesn't say what we're doing. Like, there's nothing to resolve. We literally don't know what they plan on doing next. They presumably plan on going to the bandit, training or going to the bandit camp, but, we don't say that in this episode. And I wonder why we wouldn't say that because we're going to shake things up there soon. So I think that someone portaling into them at the end of next episode, whether it be Blake or potentially Raven, I think is, not portaling in, but knocking on the door or portaling in.
Randomly appearing.
I think that's, potentially likely given the setup at the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think the better way to open the next episode would be for literally the episode to open on the door opening to Blake with her ears all droopy in like the rain or something. And all we know is that something really bad happened in Menagerie. And it's kind of
you could do the thing. You could do the thing where Blake comes back first, and then we get the flashback to the rest.
That's what I'm envisioning. Yeah. Like we get the idea that something horrible happened in Menagerie. She's back, and we don't know what happened.
That would be too. That's too ambitious for the show.
That would be a lot of drama.
My initial instinct is that's not the show thing, but we could do it. And then like Blake is there, like Blake, you're so. What happened? You're so depressed. And then she looks forlorn into the distance and then flashback to menagerie scenes interspersed throughout the episode. 0% chance of them doing that. That is way too out there. Yeah.
0% chance, but I'm saying that would be really
cool. That would be much better. Let's do that. But no, that's not happening. Yeah. So we'll see. Will Ilya betray Blake? That's what we're waiting for next week. And, will Blake, make it out of there alive? Who's dying? We think, the dad, I always forget his name. And Gira's dying, maybe Callie. Sun and Ilya are also on death watch, but probably not. And what's going to happen to Sun? Is he going to sail away? Is he coming back? All that. Well, we talked about that last week, tabled for next week, so we'll see what happens next week on RWBY. And very, very hype. Relatively.
I think Ren might be added to the death flag list because he had a very strange, serious speech.
Understand. That being said, Ren Ren's character is just to say death flags. We've kind of been, last season we just speculated on Ren, dying the entire time. And, so I've been down this road. Ren's probably not dying, I think at this point, but yeah, he does say, death things a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, he's hit those buzzer words a bunch of times this episode.
He's just a weird, serious child who says things as if the person he's talking to will die next episode. So then we think he's going to die, but no. Okay. There you go. This is we made it to about an hour. We did it. Hayley, final thoughts on Rest and Resolutions.
It was cool, and I love the beginning and the end. Ozpin stuff. Whatever, can we get past this bird plot, please? Because it's very silly. And I think hopefully we're past that, so that's cool. And I think it made sense from a story point of view to have something like this, because it would have felt really strange and just not very sincere if we would have all of a sudden been like getting all this awesome Blake Menagerie stuff and then diving headfirst into more plot development and fights happening. So it was nice to have like them all connecting, eating delicious ramen around a table, and arm wrestling. So yeah, and we saw Cinder, Emerald, and Mercury.
Yeah, arm wrestling.
Mostly Cinder and Emerald are what we care about. But yeah, overall, happy with the episode, and I'm excited for next episode because I feel like it's going to be an exciting, action-packed fight episode because we haven't had one of those.
Well, we said that last time, so we'll see.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Okay,
but now it makes sense story-wise. There is nothing else to do. Like, it's going to happen.
There's literally nothing.
That being said, we said we did say that last time, though, so who knows? Andy, final thoughts.
I have two things. One, I hope that the my faunus theory with Ozpin's correct, just because it might, if done well, it could give a little more weight to the menagerie stuff that is so boring. It might give a little more weight to that, but I don't know. But more importantly, I am ready for Tyrion's tail. I don't care that I said that it's coming back at the end of the season.
Get out of here.
That was your takeaway? Oh my God.
Get out of here.
In all seriousness, I'm ready for Emerald to beat up that guy. I wanted to
get out of here. Stop saying things that aren't going to happen on screen. Why? Why are these your takeaways? Not happening.
Because I just want to fight, Dylan. I want to fight, and we haven't gotten one in a while. Yeah. I just want to fight.
We'll fight, I think, probably.
They're coming.
I thought so last week. I was like, yes, we're definitely getting a fight next week, and it's just nope. We found a way to not get a fight in, and I'm itching for it. I'm itching for a really cool fight.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that reaction, itching for a cool fight. I'm itching for more Weiss and Yang interactions, but
well, yeah, I'll take either.
White Rose. You forgot White Rose, Dylan.
Look, wow. How would I ever forget White Rose? That's not stop it. That's not. I just don't think that's happening. I think we'll take what we can get at this point. But okay, so yeah, we'll see. What everyone's anticipating is the resolution of the ships next week. Nope. Not happening. But there'll be nothing about that. About 50 to 90% of what we discussed will not be relevant next week. So that'll be fun.
Maybe we'll have like a dramatic, tearful Bumblebee hug. That could happen.
Yeah. Absolutely not happening. But
it's going to be a Tai Yang episode next week. That's that's what.
No. A Tai Yang episode? He doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Nope. Next week, Andy. Next week is Neptune's Lost Adventures. That's what's happening.
Oh my God, that's even worse. You still found
what's Neptune been up to?
Let's check in.
Let's check in with Neptune for like 30 minutes. Let's do that.
Yeah, we'll use our slice of life time on them.
I really just want a Neptune alone episode. Why not?
Oh my God.
Okay, so let us know what's happening.
Don't even put that out into the world.
Please tell us your comments about Neptune alone at our Discord. Come chat with us about it at overlyanimated.com/Discord. A lot of active RWBY discussion, lots of Neptune discussion. JK, Neptune's name probably hasn't been mentioned in the entire time we've had our Discord. And I don't know if that'll change despite me talking about him a lot at the end.
And he's disappeared now.
And he's gone. Find out about us at overlyanimated.com. Support us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Hugh, aka Hugh Neutron, and thanks to the Star Patreon executive producers John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. Back for RWBY next week. Other bunch of cool stuff at overlyanimated.com, including, I think, Miraculous Ladybug discussion, and I think Hey Arnold Jungle Movie discussion is going to be out also tonight. So find all that at overlyanimated.com. Let us know what you thought in the comments on our website and on YouTube. Be nice, but tell us what you think. You guys were doing well, and then last week, for some reason, because we were kind of I feel like we were positive. For some reason, a lot of negative comments again, but that's okay. And
it's how RWBY
that's how the RWBY fandom does it. But let us know what you think's gonna happen next week. We're excited to be back to discuss Chapter 8, and we'll see you guys then. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.